Yes, good evening. My name is Wallace Gator Bradley, and I'm the urban translator. But as usual to my viewing and listening audience, I'll let you know all the time that this show is made possible by the chairman of United Peace Inc., a very bright lady. And you all know that I'm real biased because I was blessed to marry her, Miss Terry Marsh. She's also a good friend to the attorney here that's in the middle, Elliot Zinger, a personal attorney, the one I tell everybody when they say they need a lawyer, get up with Larry and get up with Elliot Zinger. And Larry is the guy next to Elliot, but they introduce themselves. We got a very important show, a very enlightening show. I want to say to God be the glory. That's my story. And there's a lot of things that's been happening. As y'all know, I've been pushing this criminal justice reform and the importance of Kim Foxx remaining the state's attorney because I felt like she has the integrity. But when you get through viewing this show, you'll see why I said that. So I'm going to have my guests introduce themselves and the important cases that they're working on to help right or wrong, which is individuals who have been tortured as well as individuals that are wrongfully convicted. So with that, further ado, Elliot, tell them who you be.
My name is Elliot Zinger. Let's see, how many years have we gone back
Man,
now?
about 30-something years.
Yeah,
when we put everybody thought he was a game banker. He was hanging with me so much.
Yeah,
but he was instrumental in the first game peace summit.
Myself and former gubernatorial candidate Al Hofeld.
That's right.
Signed the peace treaty. What year was that?
I was in 93.
In
when
93.
we had the game leaders come from all over the country.
Green,
that's right.
When the GDs and the Vice Lord made peace.
Right, that's right.
And there wasn't one shooting for an entire year after that, thanks to that peace treaty. I think we need another peace treaty right now.
You know what? I think that's going to happen because everybody, what you just shared with them, is that it's not a myth that it can't happen. You know what I mean? But the new guy that's on the team, after what I saw today in court, I had to come out and tell the man, you gave the whole courtroom an education. It was so quiet in the courtroom that when they opened up the door, the noise from the outside of the hall had the guys feeling like we was making noise, but the courtroom was so quiet because of the lesson that we got from Attorney Dreyfus, Larry. Larry, introduce yourself and tell everybody what had everybody quiet when you explain that they can't define about a 38 short, a 38 long, and a 357.
Look, I didn't know what you were talking about.
Right, but he's an expert. Tell them who you be, Larry.
My name is Larry Dreyfus, and I'm proud to say that Elliot Zinger and I are working together on 5 John Burge cases. We represent the victims of those cases.
Can you get the names of the victims? You know.
Sure. Jovan Deloney, Ivan Smith, Mark Maxon, Gerald Reed, who we were in court today for about 2.5 hours.
Right.
And Anthony Houston is another one of our cases, which isn't quite a Burge case, but it has some overtones like that.
You know, I was just saying, you heard me, when you laid the stillness, when you was explaining the myth that the special prosecutor trying to act like there's some witness and evidence, and there is no witness and evidence, and when he try to say about the bullet hole that was in this. Could you explain that to them, and then we gonna get into the business? Man.
Well, it's hard to explain it out of context because we were in the heat of battle today, and the special prosecutor was trying to give credit to the serial torturer, Detective Michael Kill. He was trying to give him credit, and one of the things he said was that Michael Kill, Detective Kill, detected that the victim was shot with a .357 Magnum, and I couldn't hold back. A 357 Magnum is a designated caliber, which is really a 38. The projectile on top of a cartridge is a 38. The length of the cartridge, which holds the gunpowder, designates whether or not it's a 38 short, a 38 special, or a 357 Magnum. And I had to tell the special prosecutor, he just didn't know what he was talking about, that you cannot detect what caliber 38, which of these 38 rounds made that hole in the victim by just looking at it. It made no sense.
And one of the reasons that everyone was silent, he let them know his credentials. He said he was federally inclined to explain the knowledge that he had.
Yeah.
You know, so let us get off into this show because it's a short show, but I want you to get a lot out of it. There was an editorial earlier in today's Sun-Times.
Yes.
You know, and
I read it.
where it says enough with delays and getting to the bottom of the police torture cases. The editorial was in the paper today because of what I transpired Wednesday,
Right.
which was the story where the judge made the decision that the judge decides Kim Fox's office, right. We get that up there for people to see. Right. Well, the Judge Martin made the decision Wednesday on the motion that you guys had submitted
Right.
that was dealing with the
Removal
well, you
of
explain
the
that.
special.
Right.
We filed a motion to remove the special prosecutor because they were exceeding their authority, we believed, because the original order had them defending post-conviction claims. It didn't have them prosecuting double murders. So we felt, and the reason, it's interesting you bring up the Sun-Times article because we agree that we don't want any delays either.
Right.
The reason we filed a motion, we were concerned, pursuant to some of the case law, that if there's no authority, if the authority is lacking, then the orders that happen in the case could be void. So
Right.
all of this time, Gerald Reed has spent 29 years incarcerated. I've been representing him for 7 years.
Right, yeah, we worked together.
We worked together on investigating this case, getting to the bottom of it, and we got his convictions overturned in December. We don't want to go through all of this and then have judgments that are void.
Right.
So that's the main reason we filed our motion to have the special prosecutor removed. We also believe there was a conflict. Now, the judge didn't agree with either of our theories, and that's fine. We're fully ready to go ahead. In fact, we had another motions that were up today in the case, but we
Right.
had to protect our record. We were not seeking, the last thing I want is a delay.
Right.
I've been involved in this for 7 years. What do
Correct.
I want a delay for?
Well,
So I agree with the
But
Sun-Times.
one of the things that's important, I want to stick right there. The reason that you guys pushed that motion was at the behest of your client's desire to help other individuals so that they wouldn't have that dilemma going down the line.
That's true.
Correct. And
Yeah.
Judge Martin expressed a desire to have these cases move along and was very concerned about Gerald Reed being incarcerated more than he had to be before justice came about,
Right.
as are we.
Right.
But Gerald Reed had a view that the entire system and the validity of the system for other people as well as himself, was more important than his own specific rush to get a trial. And he's
Right.
been in jail for 29
For
years.
29 years. But
So what does that tell you?
that says that's an individual that put forth a sacrifice of himself because he knew he had good attorneys that was listening to him instead of making decisions on their own without listening to their clients. Because I've noticed a lot of, and you too, because y'all hear the same thing from other guys, they may tell their attorney, hey, do this, and the attorney may not do that, go do something else. But he put the other individuals that were tortured ahead of them. And reason being, when I hear this guy, the special prosecutor, Mylan, who was the one that you so eloquently, and you can chime in, explain that by the statute, go ahead, Larry, that by the statute of the order that Beaver put out there, he was supposed to just deal with the
Defending
Pro-
post convictions.
post-conviction.
Which, by appellate court decisions, is a civil matter.
Right.
It's not even a criminal matter, because there is no criminal jeopardy. You cannot get additional time. So the matter is considered civil, and the rules of civil procedure apply. However, Mr. Mylan has taken it upon himself, we believed,
Right.
when we filed the motion, that he had the right to also file new charges against, in our case, a Burge victim.
Right.
Mr. Reed, as Elliot said, we got his conviction reversed.
Right.
2 days later, Mr. Mylan comes in and says he wants to prosecute him again.
But he's not a state's attorney.
He is not the elected state's attorney.
Right.
And by the Illinois Constitution and by Illinois statute, the state's attorney is the one that should be making those decisions.
Correct.
Now, even though the judge denied our petition, let's also look at what the result was.
That's, come on.
The the result was that he ruled there was no longer a conflict with the Cook County State's Attorney's Office
Correct.
defending post-convictions, which opens the door for the Cook County State's Attorney to now be the attorney of record to do those cases, and they have not been for 17 years.
Right. On that, the judge, Chief Judge Carla, I see you. Let me hear what you got to say. Carla, could you please state your name?
My name is Joseph Broom. I have a question.
I can't hear.
During
I
that
can't
time,
turn. You got to turn it up a little bit.
can you hear me now? During
Hold on,
that
hold on.
time, can you hear me now?
Yes.
During that time when John Byrd was the commander, and let's don't forget, we had Cook County Attorney Richard M. Daly. That did a lot of cover-up. When is his butt gonna be dragged in the court?
Well, you know,
He's
let me, because we don't want to waste time on that. Because I'm with you. They say that hindsight is 20/20, but we about foresight. Because in less than 6 months, we will be in the year of 2020. You follow what I'm saying? So you right. You correct. That's why the things that these attorneys are doing, and I'm speaking as an urban translator, which is my job when the guys come from the joint to go find competent attorneys that have the heart, the blood, and the sweat, because they're not getting paid to do what they're doing, to go into the depth of the investigation. How many pieces of documents did you go through before you found out? Thousands.
Yeah, in today's hearing,
Right.
I addressed 3,048 documents we received from the special prosecutors, and they, in turn, had received them from the original prosecution team 29 years ago.
Right.
So we're dealing with pieces of paper that are coming from antiquity.
Right. If you blow on it, it's going to get rolled. But the thing about this guy, Mylan, he was the first deputy state's attorney, assistant state's attorney up under Devine.
Right.
Devine ended up representing Burge.
Yes.
And a civil suit.
When he was in civil.
When
he was in private
when he was in
practice.
private practice.
And that's why they said Devine had a conflict. Judge Beeble said Devine
Right.
had a conflict.
Right. And Anita Alvarez was one of the individuals that was prosecuting. What case was that? Was that George Anderson's case?
George Anderson, I believe.
You follow what I'm saying? But back to this guy here. Here's an individual, he talk about making the decision not to prosecute Gibson.
Yes.
Yet, as a special prosecutor, he's fighting against Gibson having the right to a certificate of innocence.
Yes.
And when he says publicly, and it's in the article of the newspapers, that he believed Gibson committed the murders, then when he came out today after you guys left the court, and that's where this story coming from, and he says he believed Gerald Reed pretty much is guilty, and as a special prosecutor or as a prosecutor, he's not going to let him get away with murder. But everyone that was in the courtroom that heard his side and heard your side realized that there was no evidence, and he was glorifying a police officer killed that has 90 different allegations.
I think it's 900.
900. Oh my God.
900 claims.
900 claims of police torture or police misconduct.
And those 900 were actually handled in court through a motion to suppress.
Right.
The defendant said, I was physically abused, that's why I gave my statement. 900 times that issue came up with Michael Kill.
But then Michael killed in one case even acknowledge that he could make sure he can get a conviction, get them to confess to something after they've been in the room with him?
Well, he certainly seemed to be a pro at it.
900.
He got a confession from a young man who was in the Cook County Jail at the time
Right.
of the murder, and he got him to confess to the murder, and later they found out he was in
He
the
was
Cook County Jail.
Wow, man, that's torture.
Yeah.
So, go figure.
You know,
Go figure how the system
Caller,
of justice works.
Call, I see you. Could you please state your name?
Yeah, James. Okay.
Hey, James.
I was going to ask the attorney, what was Kim Fox, Anita Alvarez, and the new mayor and the governor when all this torture was going on?
Well, you know, hey, James, you know, one of the things, I can speak on that. First off, that whole cabal, and I want to break it down into a gang vernacular, if you will, because I can do that as an urban translator, so to help you understand this.
Uh-huh.
If the GDs I did what the Fraternal Order Police doing, because they all were part of the membership of FOP. That's from State's Attorney Daley. He was in support of Fraternal Police. So he was about to cover up of all that. He knew what John Burge was doing. The reason that everything came out was because they thought they had it so tight that when John Burge went to give a deposition in a federal civil suit, that they found out that he lied.
Yes.
And that's how the exposure come about. Anita Alvarez knew about it. That's why she had a conflict. Daley had a conflict. Divine had a conflict. That's why the Chief Justice Martin let it be known that the state's attorney's office up under Kim Fox doesn't have that conflict. So therefore, the order from Judge Beeble wouldn't apply to her. So that's why I made it, and y'all tell me if I'm wrong, that's why Martin made the determination that within 14 days, Mylan is to come back with his list so that this chief judge can make a determination if whether Kim Fox should hear the case or Mylan
Right.
should hear the case.
His major issue, Judge Martin's major issue, was that Dick Devine, when he was the state's attorney, had a conflict because he personally represented John Burge
Right.
in his law firm.
Right.
Right.
So it was not the other state's attorneys. He did not believe it was that broad like Anita. He didn't think Anita Alvarez, for example, had a conflict of interest. And he certainly thinks because of the passage of time that Kim Fox doesn't have a conflict of interest, which
Right.
was a major thing to say.
Right, it was.
You know,
It
and
was.
I'm sure that Kim Fox will be fair if she handles
Hey,
new cases
you know what?
or other cases.
When you see the fraternal order police write a letter to Kim Fox while all this is going on and says he don't feel that the police officers could get a fair shake when the police officers are victims, what they talking about, if you touch a policeman's shirt, and heaven forbid you touch a police horse. You know what I'm saying? And he makes the statement in the letter. He feels that Kim Fox would not give the police a fair shake, especially if the police was involved in misconduct, because he feels like Kim Fox was giving those victims of police misconduct a break, mainly based off the fact of the 80-some individuals that Kim Fox has released. It's been all in the media
yeah.
because of police misconduct. Now, the police misconduct was these police officers were demanding individuals had to sell dope. They was planting drugs on them. Then they got caught in a sting and ended up going to the federal penitentiary. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, to address the person's question about Kim Fox, where were them and all that, what we got to do is understand this. There's a move afoot, if that's the right verbiage. There's something that's happening out there when you got the fraternal order police, racist individuals coming together to get rid of Kim Fox, and other supporters get rid of Kim Fox, because for the first time in my lifetime, and I'm sure in yours, there is a fair prosecution coming out of the state's attorney's office with a platform against wrongful convictions.
Yeah, and it would be the hope that any prosecutor's job would be to do justice.
Correct.
Not to just seek a conviction because the case is pending in the court.
Right, you know, and
The job of a prosecutor is to seek justice. And I think in the past, over the years, that
wasn't happening.
that was just not happening. It didn't matter what, it was by any means necessary.
And it means necessary. You seeing it now.
And part of the damage are some of the clients that we represent,
Ain't no question.
sitting in jail for 25
And there's another
30,
case that's
40
out
years.
there that's a part of the Ivan and Javan Deloney case. That's Terrence Brooks, which is that collateral damage. But by the grace of God, he didn't have to have a special prosecutor because he didn't get tortured. But collateral damage from the guys that got tortured got it where he was on death row. If it wasn't for the governor making decisions to stop all that, he may not be here. And the thing that people need to realize, Kim Fox, as state's attorney, is prosecuting those that's doing wrong, involving shootings and killings of people within Cook County. But the people in Cook County, if you see a crime that's being committed, you got to come up and say, hey, this is what this individual did. Because if you don't, they may do it to you. Okay? Like I say, the show says it takes all of us. And it do. You know what I mean? Okay. But at the same token, this is the first time in 50 years or better that a police officer has been charged with murder, got tried by a jury of his peers, got found guilty, but the system, when you got a bad judge, that's why these judicial elections are very important. And I'm saying this because I'm a political consultant as well. But if you don't vote, it's because you choked. When you see that an individual that's running, in Ivan Smith's case, the assistant state's attorney, I think his name was Burns, Charles Burns, the assistant state's attorney. Charles Burns was also an individual that's involved in the Inglewood 4 case that they had sealed, that they released.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? That's how we found out a lot of things about him. But as assistant state's attorney, he's now a judge. As assistant state's attorney, he went out of the state to go and with two police officers that's known for torturing individuals. I've got to wrap it up, so I'm going to give it to you quick. There's assistant state's attorney with two police officers that have a record of torturing individuals, went out of town to arrest Ivan Smith.
With a court reporter.
With a court reporter.
Of all things.
Of all things. And came back. And then the torture commission come back and say these two individuals tortured this man. It's the case that they got. So I'm just saying I got to go. You know I hate you when I get to going. Boy, but I got some champions here. And I want to say Gerald Reed's mom is a strong woman. Miss Shackelford.
Absolutely. Love
Strong.
her son.
Love her son.
And we'll do
And
everything
like
we can
everything.
for Gerald Reed, for
And-
Ivan Smith,
Yeah.
for
Right.
Javan Deloney.
Right.
to
For
win-
Houston.
Win in court.
Right. And I'm going to say this. All the supporters, including Mark Clemens, he was a torture victim. You had him too.
Yes, sir.
And he's out. He became a hell of an urban translator.
He's a 16-year-old
16-year-old.
framed for 4 murders.
Right.
I just want to say your votes count. And all the supporters that's been standing with Ms. Shackelford, be in court with her all the time, receive a late night calls. I want to say to God be the glory to y'all. And you know we got to wrap this up. And again, great attorney, Elliot, give them your name, your number, and your email.
Elliot Zinger, 312-782-9464. Email ezingerlaw, EZINGERLAW, @yahoo.com.
Hey, Larry,
Yeah.
give him that.
Larry Dreyfus, 773-327-3474. And my email address is Dreyfus, DREYFUS, law, @mac.com.
And hey, on Wallace Gator Bradley, 312-371-6914. L.A. Gator, B, the number 4, and the word peace, PEACE, @yahoo.com. And something else before I go. They didn't pass the law about the marijuana or the cannabis. But the most important thing, the individuals that have marijuana cases is entitled to a pardon, and these guys can help you with that too.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm out of here.
Gator.